Hello everyone, today we continue the Importance of Being Extraordinary series and we look at spirituality today. Hello everyone. We've had a series of 5 videos and the continuation of that, the importance of being extraordinary is important to shine your light. And today we're talking about spirituality and spiritual teachers, which is your conduit, the people who have come into your karmic journey to help you forget that material world is everything and start to understand that you may be a material girl living in a material world, but there's much more to it. So as always, I'm going to begin with a quote on the subject, and that quote is, "Walk with the dreamers, the believers, the courageous, the cheerful, the planners, the doers, the successful people with their heads in the clouds and their feet on the ground. Let that spirit ignite a fire within you to leave this world better than when you found it." Wilfred Peterson. Yeah, yeah. Dream and keep your feet on the ground, and that's where you need to be, because it's dead time any other time. And your spirit is really what drives you. We say it all the time, when we use the word, that person's inspired, in spirit. Well, think of the word, think of the spirit as the driving force. We know this instinctively. And I know my personal stories, I remember ticking all the boxes. I remember having the money. We've talked about this so many times of this video series, that I had all these boxes ticked, but the spiritual box had, because of I'd followed such a original. I was an altar boy, so I was brought up in the Catholic Church, and I was surrounded by spirituality. It wasn't spirituality. I thought it was spiritual. It wasn't spirituality. It was doctrine. It was government in the form of clerics. It was government by any other name. It was hierarchies. It had nothing to do with Jesus Christ, that incredible Savior, that guy who was, just like all of us, was the incarnation of God. It had nothing to do with that guy who had everything to say what was right. That spirituality. What I was involved in was some sort of, Boy Scout club where you got like different badges and people wore fancy dress. That wasn't spirituality, but I thought it was. And that gap became more and more evident in my life as I got older. So how did I get around this, and how did I introduce spirituality in my life? And I'm going to go through some points now that really were guideposts to help me understand. So number 1, control of your spirit and mind comes before success. Okay? You must control your mind and your spirit before success comes. Success is the emptiest word. I've got to stop hearing it. In fact, I don't even want to say it anymore because it's meaningless. What is success? I hear about all these. Tiger Woods was living this dream successful life until 10 seconds later it all fell apart. Success. It's ridiculous. It's been ripped off by con man. It's the Wolf of Wall Street concept of money, 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 but these people aren't successful. And if they are successful, I don't want to be them because they're not happy. And in fact, you can never hold on to success because it's a feeling. So until spirit and mind teaches you how to hold and absorb feelings and to see them and to embrace them, you can't keep success. And there's not enough money in the world to keep people distracted enough to fill that void. Number 2, Heath Ledger, $14 million payday. Dead weeks after the opening of The Dark Knight, the Batman film. Another great example of someone whose spirit was hurting. His spirit wasn't in the right place, and he got delivered $14 million. Check. And on the check it says $14 million was given to Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was such an incredible human being, and he suffered because his spiritual side was so challenged, and he was dead before the movie even opened. That's an example of how important it is to get your spirit right, because no $14 million check is going to change it. Yeah, people say all the time, just win the lotto. Well, I've got examples of people who win the lotto, amazing people like Heath Ledger, and unfortunately they're not here to tell the story. 3, being extraordinary can fuel the ego and destruction. So when you start becoming the best version of yourself and you start embracing things and things come into your life, quite often it's really interesting is that you can get more recognition by getting connection with spiritual self. You can get more money, but there's a challenge here because you need to remember that spirituality and the mind and understanding the mind must come first, because when the ego jumps in, you start to realize, yeah, I'm a very spiritual person, I meditate all the time, I'm better than most people. That's the ego talking, and that is the fall of destruction. Remember, pride come before the fall. That's what that book was trying to talk about. It was trying to talk about, don't ever allow your spiritual journey to make you put yourself on a pedestal that you're better than other people. We are one consciousness, and your particular subjective consciousness experiencing itself through an organic computer is not better than everyone else. It is part of everyone else. You know, you are a cell. You are like a brain cell inside the brain. The one brain cell is not better than the other. Just understand you're becoming enlightened, and if you ever find yourself thinking you're better or smarter, or these guys in this country don't get it, I get it, understand that's starting to slip. Spirituality is starting to slip. You haven't had it that hard, and you can learn from others. Listen, we've all had challenges, but you haven't had it that hard. I know about a dude who's now to a crucifix. That sounds tough. I know that there's children right now dying in Africa to the point where their bellies are swollen with tapeworm and their last breaths are being ripped from them as they die in agony. We haven't had that tough. And there's other people who've been through much worse things. Listen to their stories. Luckily, as humans, we don't have to go through all that suffering. But listen to people, and more importantly, when they tell you their sob stories, don't just write them off as being negative. Listen, because that's an experience, and if they haven't learned from the fact that on their fifth breakup, maybe you can learn from that fifth breakup. Maybe you can understand some of the things that are going on there and take it into your life and be the change you want to see. My favourite, it all goes back in the box. Listen. I haven't seen it yet, but maybe they'll do this one day. Your gravestone is not a digital readout of your bank account. No one walks through a grave going, that guy in that hole there that's rotting, I think that he's better and more successful than that person in that hole rotting there. You're not taking any of this stuff with you. This stuff that you stress, that you hoard, that you collect, that you save, that you scrimp, that you stress, that you yell at your loved ones about. These things, these material assets, they've got to go somewhere, and they're not coming with you. No, they're transitory. No, they must let go. You must let go of them. It all goes back in the box. Obviously comes from the story I told about Monopoly. When no matter how many games of Monopoly you win, you fold the box and it all goes back in. And once that happens, you have nothing. The hotels, the cars, Park Lane, gone. So you better be prepared. Second to last, success is how you feel in the moment. I had an interesting meeting once with some people who, it was in Brisbane, and I remember having this meeting. I remember sitting there, and it was a meeting in which we were talking about finances, and I had this individual look at me very sternly, and he said, he goes, you don't understand, I'm a huge success, and I've done this and I've done that, and 10 years ago I built this business. I thought to myself, he's just telling me a story. This isn't success. He's telling me a story he thinks is of success. But I feel good right now, and I know this person who perhaps could have been a con man didn't feel so good about himself. So who was really successful? Success is in the moment. People who tell you they're successful, who are stressed out smoking a cigarette, they're not successful. Success can only be felt in the moment. It is a feeling. So look at yourself and ask yourself, how do I feel right now? And use the techniques of meditation, clearing your head, and all the other things we've talked about to gain real success. And finally, know deeply, everyone's success is yours. The hardest thing in life is envy and jealousy. Like, these things are just such crazy concepts. You're part of a interdependent species. You can't drive your car unless someone makes the roads and someone makes we're so independent, and other people's success does not take away from you. That scarcity mindset that that if someone else is successful there's something wrong with you. No, it's like your left hand being jealous of your right hand because it's doing all the painting on the left hand going, well, I don't paint, I don't know how to paint. You know that you're a connected individual, and the right hand that shouldn't get all the acclaim for your beautiful painting because the left hand is involved in what as well as holding the easel. So understand that everyone's success is yours, and do not diminish other people's success. I see it all the time, and quite often I feel it. Sometimes I have people who are in my life that when good things happen, quite often they'll make comments that I feel aren't super supportive. And when I hear those comments, I think to myself, I wish I could give them this feeling. I wish they could have this feeling right now because it belongs to them too, because I couldn't have done what I did without them. Everyone's success is your success. Being extraordinary is your birthright. Spirituality is something that's important to get right. It's definitely something to think about, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.